Rose, what'd you get me for Christmas? I hope it's a hunting knife.
In the interest of brevity, I didn't film this whole process of filing these little leaves or feather tips, whatever you want to call them. It's a little rough. I just laid them out by hand and took to filing them. It's not high end. Some people do them pretty high end, but I'm just having fun. Okay, making a hilt. There's my profile, and I've got the forge going, and about up the temp here. Starting with some 3/8 round stock. It'll make sense to you later. But hold this gently betwixt my legs, and then using a punch to flatten this out. This is a test. Haven't really made one like this before. It's pretty good. I'm gonna flatten here and here. Maybe. We'll see how that goes. Shouldn't need much though. There we go. Fullering die would be nice. If I only had one. Boss is lost. Oh shit, hot wire. It's exciting. What do I have here? An old janky tool. Can I get that? I don't know. I haven't used this in a long time. Test fit? I don't know. It's so fun to work with things that are hot. And I'm missing some tools. Try that open? I don't know. I made this for blades. Maybe? I don't know. It's worth a try. Yeah, that worked pretty good. It's been so long. That's for putting fullers in blades. I think I can work on that with a hammer up to there. Okay. Bit of draw knife work to get some quarter sawn curly ash into shape. Should be able to get a couple handles out of this. Curly ash that I showed you earlier, drilled a hole after laying it out on there, and then I heat just the tip, the first half inch or so of this, and start pressing it down in there, and that heat makes its own way down through there. Here's a quick one. Using a farrier's rasp, after using a draw file, just hog that material out until you get it close, and then leave yourself some room to put that in a vise so you can do all this work. And then once you get it really close, and I mean really close, you can cut that off and do the finish work. I think it's going to be pretty. It's quarter sawn, and you can look that up on the internet. If you put the outside of the ring on the bottom of your blank, if you're using curly wood or quilted, whatever you want to fucking call it, put the outside of the bark on the bottom of the handle, and that way you get that figure to wrap all the way around the most visible sides of the handle. So there you go. I've got a bunch of file work to do on the hilt and a little bit of forge work, and just hogging that handle out. As you can see, you can kind of see the profile it's going to finish at. I've worked that piece of curly ash down, and just about ready to cut it where I want it. But mind you, once you cut it, you kind of lose the ability to hold on to it real well to shape it. So we'll get there. But first I want to look all down through this and make sure I've removed all of the file marks, nicks and scratches. I've got a few here I can see. But if you don't do that, once you put a finish on it, it will show up really well. There we go. Time for removal. Follow that angle. And now that handle's free. Here's a bit of a segue. I've got a video on restoring this Buffalo Forge bellows. There were some adjustments I still needed to make after I installed it and refurbished it. Today it decided to lock up, and I figured out what the problem is. All of these lock nuts and whatever you want to call them that lock the bearings in and allow you to adjust the bearings, all of these threads are right hand, even on the opposing side. What happens is, if you don't stake this left side and you run it, it will permit this side to walk off. So this side needs staked. Kind of like old cars, they had the sensibility then to any lug nuts or nuts on the left side of the vehicle, or the driver's side of the vehicle, in the main direction of travel, they knew this would walk off. So this left side of these Buffalo forges, you need to stake this left side nut, this lock nut on there. There's a bit of a keyway. So apparently when you disassemble it, whatever staking was done, you clear off. And when you reassemble it and adjust it, you need to restake it. So I'm going to take a punch and run into one of these threads there and lock that in. But what happened was I was running this Bellows, getting this fire going, and it wanted to lock up. And what had happened was this had walked off and it locked up in there. So just a bit of warning. And what'll happen is it lets this shaft move that way, and then your bearings on the other side lose purchase and things get locked in. So yeah, I'm going to stake this. So did you get it? Not too bad. That side. I'm doing this side. Oh, you fucker. Okay. Okay, now I got two. I don't know if you can see this or not, but that's an old nail set. And what I did was I drilled a hole in the tip of it a little bit. Well, first I snapped off about 1/4 inch, and then I filed it down, annealed it, drilled in about 1/4, just a touch inside that, and then filed that to where those edges are true with the depression, and then reheated it and quenched it and made it hard, and it makes a neat little button punch or a rivet kind of look to it. So that side. Have to hit this one extra hard. Don't touch it with your hand, Shrek, although you really want to. All right, back in the heat. Damn it. This one again. There we are. This punch on here, right about there. There we go. Okay, doesn't look like much, but it will once it's all said and done. I think I can work these kind of cold. When it's real hot, and you do the opposing side, you can sometimes deform it enough to where your previous side is kind of lacking. So you should be able to kind of see it there. I'm touching it. See that smoke? All right. That's good enough. Okay. I'm about 12 feet away from the forge, so I'm going to go grab the hilt and try to keep it hot and get it set on here, and then drive it down and make that mortise I kind of talked about earlier. So this dude is hot. I'm going to set that on there. I'm going to take this piece of pipe, set that on there, and smack it, and smack it. Smack it, smack it, smack it. And that should have got it as much as it's going to get it. Now the rest of it is firework from here. So there you can kind of see what I did with those punches there. I think that'll finish out pretty. This part is a bit tedious. And I'm missing some little needle files, but I made this punch over here and on the opposite side. And that was forged round. And essentially what I want to do is make a little fiddle head. Does that make sense? So finding the center of this facet and then ever so gently filing that until I have just the slightest little rise there. And I'm going to continue that on down the back. This is the bottom of that tang. Not the tang, the bottom of that hilt. So just keep working that around. There's the punch work. Right? And there's that file work. Make that concave and then I'll come in with a mill file and just touch those. No one will see this close but a child. But it's fun work. I've filed as much as that hilt as I want to file. I've also hammered it closed a bit, so it'll be a nice tight friction fit on that tang. And now I'm going to color it, and the way you color it is I used motor oil, and I'm going to heat this up until it's nice and bright, and then I will stick it in that cold black oil. Black oxide finish. It's a hot one. Nice and black. And then when you hit that with a little bit of steel wool, it'll highlight all that file work you did. And it will be pretty. Yeah, heat that hilt up. Cherry hot, just hot enough. And then you can take that handle and drop it on there and give it some pressure. And what you'll see is that heat climb up the handle right down here. And what that's doing is it's making that wood match the profile of the hilt. We can clean that up when we're ready. You can get real carried away in fit and finish and lose a lot of money if you're selling these things. Or you can come at it kind of quick and just make some little changes. I did a triangular file to distinguish kind of where the blade stops and ends on profile, and then rounded those out and polished it. Now I'm going to heat treat it again. I'm going to color it again, get some black oxide on there, and get back to it. There you can see where the blade has made a bit of a mortise there. All right, we're down to where the rubber meets the road. This is the least fun part of doing this process. And I think nope, I got it. For pins, I just use whatever size finish nails. I don't know. I think they're an 1/8 inch in diameter. I don't know what penny that is because I've been out of it too long. But for your first holes, mind you, I eyeballed the position of this and then traced that outline there. And what I want to do is take a drill bit that is much smaller than the cross section of that nail, and then I'm going to come up about 1 inch and then come down another inch, maybe a little more, and do these tiny holes. So I just want to drill this side through into the cavity. And then I want to confirm that I'm actually striking metal there. Using that same small bit, and I should have some marks. Yep, there we go. That was good. All right. So I don't know if you can see this or not, but I have a mark where that bit hit there. Now I'm going to go through it ahead and drill through the wood here with the same size tiny bit, backing up some and going easy. Because I don't want to blow out. Okay, there we go. So I'm going to jump up in size. And once again, that's not quite the size of the pin. And that one's through. Okay, now I'm going to step up to the bit that I drilled through the metal with. This is important. Pay attention here, because you don't want to blow out this side, and you don't want your holes misaligned. So what's going to happen is I'm going to go through this side. I've relieved this side so it doesn't blow out. But I'm going to rely on the metal that I've drilled the hole through to kind of direct the direction of where that pin's going to go. All right, now at this point, I'm going to step up in size to a bit closer to this diameter. Same process. I'm going to press down on this wood, that backing block. Okay, now my holes have got a path now. Okay, this is going to be the one. It's a touch bigger in diameter than that nail. So I'm going to drill the metal out and not the wood. So that nail fits freely through there. Yeah, I need to open that up a hair. The best way to do that is clipping that nail. Okay, I've clipped that nail. There we go. So now, get a friction fit pin and a friction fit pin. And now, I can do two things. I can now heat treat this, and I can stain my handle. Look at that. I ran the drill bit into there. Not real sharp, Shrek. So, all right. Do some heat treating here. Get the fire going. Now here's one of you, before you get to this stage, you want to make sure you got that knife as close to finish as possible. Because once we do this, it's going to get really hard to work. So make sure your holes are drilled, your edges are done, whatever file work you're doing is done. It's straight and true, and it's ready to go in the heat. Now, there's a couple ways you can quench. You can do a plunge quench, which you see a lot of people do. I'm not keen on that. It works, but there's some luck of the draw there depending on your blade profile and shape. What I like to do is an edge quench. So I'm going to heat this whole thing up, and I'm going to do my best to just quench that entire visible edge. So that will hit the oil first, and then once it starts to cool a bit, then I'll drop it the rest of the way in the oil. But I'm going to add some oil to that. You don't want a real thick oil. There's lots of different oils you can use. There's actually some math and science behind it. You want somewhere between water and oil, and there's lots of videos you can dig up on that. But you want kind of a thin oil, you don't want a thick oil. Like I said, I got some used motor oil in there, and I just added some hydraulic oil. And you don't have to use hydraulic oil. You can use all kinds of different oils. But I know this is going to work just fine. Now I've got the blade in there. I'm going to bring that up, and I'm going to use this piece of old gas can there to make an oven. And I essentially have the thickest part of the blade over the hottest point of the fire. I'm going to bring that up to heat. So I'm going to bring this up to its critical heat, and at critical heat, the metal reaches a point where microscopically or atomically, it's moving around so fast that it is no longer magnetic, and a magnet won't stick to it. Not quite white hot, not quite a forge weld hot, but a critical heat. And you got to be careful, because at that point you can deform it just moving it around if you're rough. And you can incorporate some bad things into it. So you want to handle it gently. But then once you're at that temp, you kind of got to move fast and bring it in. Here's where 2 cameras would help, but I don't have 2 cameras, so we're pretty close here. Pretty close. Change my angle here. All right. Throw some of that coal out of the way. All right. Still a lot of heat in there. If you look close, you can see bubbles coming away from the top of it there that's not submerged. There we go. Got a good straight edge. I think that's us. Okay, this part can be a little deadly. What I don't want to do is clamp it to that filing block that I have, because it's incredibly hard. So I'm going to take a big old file here, and I'm going to polish down each facet. Okay, cleaned up those edges. Now I can heat treat it. Right. Final stage of the blade. What I'm going to do is apply heat to this back edge, and this will start turning colors. And what I want, and what I don't want to go past, is this blade needs to be the color of wheat or straw. And that can be a challenge. I've done this before in the forge, so you could lay this on a piece of metal, and the metal will gradually heat up and impart its heat to the blade. But that takes some time, and I'm running out of light. And not that I'm hurrying, I just don't want to make a third video. So I'm going to start applying heat down on this tang. I'm just getting tired. There we go. There we go. This is where a nice little oven, one of those gas forges, would be nice. But it's been done this way for a long, long time. What you got to be careful with is that torch will take off in the, let me rephrase this, it won't take off your corners, it'll just flash burn them, which can be beneficial. The main thing is you want that dry. And it's not like stain. You don't have to worry about it getting darker in some spots. So come on, torch. My battery's also running low on the camera here. Come on, you fucker. All right. From this point, we can handle it and then start with the linseed oil treatment. So yeah, we got the aquafortis on there, and then I'm going to put a little linseed oil in action here. Oh, it's thick. Come on, brother. There we go. Got some old honey out there. Want to hump the camera stand. That shit's thick. Gonna need some heat. This is normally done within the confines of a warm room. But I don't have a warm room. Look at that. Now, if you put several coats on there, you'll just be building that. Oh, hands cramping. You'll just keep building that finish up. Use a cloth to get the extra off, but then work the rest in your hand. And that is I don't care who you are. That's just gorgeous. I just need some epoxy, and that'll be a really, really pretty knife. I've trimmed some pins here. Get them in. Just for safekeeping. I still need that epoxy. So once those pins are in, I'm not done with finish. Like I said, these pins get filed off flush, and then they get a little center punch. So they'll mushroom out just a touch. Just a touch. And but I need that epoxy, so losing light anyway. Trying to just do one video here, part 2. So it's raining out. That's that sound you hear. Lucky for you all, I had some problems with the shape of this that I didn't notice until I took it home and stared at it for a while. So what you missed earlier, and there's a note, Aqua Fortis. It is 1 part acid, 1 part nitric acid, 3 parts water. And then you dump steel wool or iron shavings in there, and it'll smoke and it'll be horrible, and you don't want to breathe it, and you want to do it outside. But what that does, you just keep feeding it until it won't eat any more steel or iron. And then it's lightly acidic. Well, it's still kind of pretty high pH. Or is that low? Can't remember. Anyway, the main thing it does is it reacts with the tannins in the wood. And then it also has dissolved that iron so much that it's really great as a stain. But it's not like a common stain you would buy. It doesn't build up. It doesn't cause any, I don't know, splotchy effects to it at all. It's just a great old school product for staining, but it doesn't do much on there just wet. Where it really comes into effect is when you start putting heat to it, and you have to put heat to it. And what the heat does, the heat opens the pores up in that wood, and it also oxidizes that iron. Come on, torch. I see it darken there. Turns almost purple. That's the iron. That's the iron. Now, mind you, already put a coat of linseed oil on this. Sometimes you get lucky, sometimes you don't. But I think I'm going to be okay. Just make sure that's all dry. And then you hit it with linseed oil and steel wool, which I've already kind of shown you. The linseed oil out here is really cold, and it's syrupy, and it's kind of old. But anyway, I've got some epoxy, so I'm going to finish this handle. But I wanted to show you that, and I also needed to fix some angles. And now I'll hit it with linseed oil, and then I'll get on to using the epoxy to set that handle. Well, I don't know if I got any of that. I hate using this phone and humping it in this manner on the stand. But anyway, epoxy. Get the mixed stick kind there instead of using a fucking toothpick or a popsicle stick. Fill the cavity about halfway. Slide it on there. Put your pins in, and that's it for setup. The linseed oil helps keep that epoxy from sticking to your finish. It's easier to wipe off. You might get a little come out of the hilt, but if you keep that in a position where it can drip out the bottom or whatever it needs to do. It's getting a little hot, starting to come out the side there. But anyway, I'll go ahead and work on finishing this up, and I think the last little sectional here will be the finish knife, but I got to dress those pins down like I talked about. So there we go. Maybe this is better. I'll do it out here in the rain as the camera tries to figure out what color the screen's going to go. Curly ash handle, Willys Jeep leaf spring blade, piece of mild steel for the hilt. I think you can see the size there as it rains on it. Thanks for watching. I appreciate your time and your interest.